Hello everyone. Hope you enjoy the video. A seemingly harmless diary is the key to exposing a crime that has been hidden for many years. Tien and Jack are determined to follow the last clue to bring the evil enemy to light. The dark secrets of the village begin to be revealed, and the true face of the person behind it all gradually becomes clear. Will justice be served? Will the perpetrator of the crime of the past pay the price? Right finger, don't miss a moment. The chilling truth is waiting for you to discover. Bell, click subscribe and follow to not miss the shocking ending. That afternoon, when the three of them had just returned from the quarry, a strange atmosphere enveloped the small village. The wind blew through the bamboo grove, carrying with it an indescribable feeling of dread. The gazes following Tien, Jack and Mr. Dong were no longer of normal curiosity, but mixed with worry and fear. That night, Mr. Dong went to see Mr. Hong, the person who had given the diary to Tien. The two sat at an old tea table, candles flickering. Hong, I think I remembered something else. Mr. Hong looked up, his eyes serious. It was that year, right? I also thought it was time to tell everything. Jack and Tien were invited to listen. In the flickering light of the oil lamp, Mr. Hong recounted the horrifying truth that had been hidden for more than a decade. Mr. Dong's friend, the one who cooperated in the quarry, was not actually missing. He was murdered. The evidence had been hidden in the cellar. But the terrible thing is, the murderer is none other than the former village chief, Mr. Qin, Dong's adoptive father. The air froze. Tien opened her mouth. Impossible. Uncle Qin had helped me a lot. Mr. Dong nodded, his voice hoarse. That's why he wanted to hide the truth. Dong had suspected, asked Dad, but I couldn't remember anything at that time. Dong had quietly gone to investigate and never returned. Jack slammed his hand on the table. Maybe, Mr. Qin was the one who shut Dong's mouth. Mr. Hong nodded slowly. I once saw Dong give a USB to Mr. Qin, saying that it contained a copy of the data about the scam. But a few days later, Mr. Qin announced that Dong had gone missing. No one dared to doubt. He was powerful, and respected by the villagers. Tien whispered, that means, Dong could have been harmed right in this village? No one said anything more, but the eyes of all three were filled with determination. They couldn't let the criminal continue to be at large outside the law. The next morning, Tien pretended to bring vegetables to Mr. Qin, while Jack and Mr. Dong secretly watched. In the large wooden house, Mr. Qin was still as calm as ever, but his deep eyes shone with vigilance. How are you? It's been a long time since I've seen you. Tien smiled lightly, her eyes observing every detail in the house. She noticed a small safe in the corner, disguised as a wooden bookshelf. She said a few words and then asked permission to leave. That night, the group discussed a plan to return to the house to look for real evidence. Night fell over the village. The moon was dimly visible behind the thick clouds, leaving only the dim flashlights of three people quietly approaching Mr. Qin's wooden house. Jack took the lead, holding a lock-picking tool. Tien followed closely behind, her heart pounding. Mr. Dong was silent, his eyes no longer trembling like the first days, but full of determination. The back door of the house creaked softly and opened. Inside was so quiet that one could hear the wind blowing through the cracks in the planks. Everything was still as during the day, but the atmosphere was completely different, tense as a guitar string. The safe is in the corner, behind the bookshelf, Tien whispered. Jack used pliers to open the latch, spending nearly 10 minutes to break the lock. When the safe door swung open, inside was a black notebook, a small USB, and a stack of discolored paper documents. They quickly collected everything and quietly retreated. But when they reached the back door, a cold voice rang out. You think I don't know? Mr. Qin stood there, holding a flashlight and a wooden stick. His eyes were red with anger and despair. Traitors, you dare to dig up the past? Jack stepped forward to block Tien, his voice low. It's not the past, but the truth. You killed someone. You harmed Dong. Now it's time to pay. Mr. Kin laughed harshly, then suddenly swung his stick. But Mr. Dong was faster. He used his old body to block the blow and then slammed the stick back down to the ground. The two struggled for a few seconds before Jack rushed to control Mr. Kin, tying his hands with the rope he brought with him. "The police are coming," Jack said firmly. "You will have to face all your sins." 3 days later, the whole village was in an uproar when the police car appeared. The news that Mr. Kin had been arrested for murder, concealing evidence, and embezzlement of assets from the old quarry spread like wildfire. The evidence in the safe, including the video extracted from the USB that Dong had given him, along with his diary, was enough to convict him. The people were shocked, but also relieved. It turned out that the person they had trusted for so many years was the one who had killed in the dark. Lytutien, holding her husband's diary in her hand, watched Mr. Kin being taken away. Tears fell silently, not because of hatred, but because finally, the truth had been revealed. Dong, the deceased husband, had finally been vindicated. Mr. Dong stood by, squeezing his daughter-in-law's shoulder. His voice was hoarse but full of relief. "Dad used to be a part of the crime, but today, Dad is proud because we have gone to the end of the truth." Jack took Lytutien's hand and said softly, "From now on, everything will be different. No darkness can swallow you anymore." A month after the great event, the small mountainside village gradually returned to its original peace. The muddy dirt roads after the flood were paved with smooth stones. The rice fields were replanted. The young shoots grew green after the long rains. On the top of the hill, Lytutien's farm was now bustling with people, hammers, and laughter all day long. Jack and the team of workers were completing the final stages, a sturdy wooden fence surrounding the small flower garden, and a brand new barn for the goats, dogs, and cats that Lytutien loved. Lytutien wore a simple brown shirt, holding a basket of vegetables she had just picked from the garden. Standing on the porch looking around with tearful eyes, she never thought that one day, the house that had been destroyed by the flood, that had been lonely because of the sadness of the past, would become so lively and full of hope. Mr. Dong was sitting pruning the tea trees by the yard. His face now had less regret, replaced by serenity, a father who had finally fulfilled his responsibility to his son, his daughter-in-law and his own conscience. Jack walked over, quickly wiped his sweat, then gently put his arm around Lytutien's shoulder. "What do you think? My new home?" She smiled and nodded, warm, as if there had never been any pain here. Jack took her hand and pulled her to the middle of the yard. He took out a small necklace with a leaf pendant from his pocket, a symbol of resurrection. Putting it around Lytutien's neck, Jack said softly, "This is where you belong. And from today, not only the past, but also the present and the future. I want to be with you." Lytutien hugged him, unable to hide her tears anymore. But this time they were tears of happiness.
Người về trong gió núi, người đi bóng núi im trời. Suối reo vẫn gọi tên người tha thiết, chiếc áo nâu dáng hiền hòa, gánh cả non sông giữa bao phong ba. Bàn chân bác nhẹ bước nhẹ nhàng, ở bắc đất mà đất nước chuyển mình sang mùa xuân, đời người dậy ngọn lửa ngầm thắp lên chỉ lớn trong từng bước chân. Đêm Trường Sơn gió lạnh lùng, bác nằm sỏi đá từng nghĩ dân làng. Một đời chẳng chút mơ màng, chỉ mong nước Việt rạng ngời vinh quang. Hôm nay con đứng nơi đây, lặng nghe gió thổi qua rừng me che xanh. Tim con dưng dứt ngọn ngành, bác còn đâu đó giữa gành trăng soi.